Hey guys, and welcome back to another Spore creation video. And for today's creation, I'm going to be making the brand new starters from Pokemon Generation 9. Starting with Sprigatito, I believe the name is, or Sprigatito? Sprigatito. I'm not sure. The funny little green cat one, which in my personal opinion is actually my favourite. It just looks ungodly adorable. However, when it came to the actual creation process itself, I thought the body was going to be the hardest part because it's got a very small squashed body, very petite and delicate looking. And as we all know, Spore is not good with petite or delicate looking things at all. It's always very round and bulbous. However, in this case, due to some really fine nitpicking with the limbs, I started with a hilarious base. I mean, it just looked ridiculous at the beginning, especially the head, but it was the best I could really come up with to try and get like the initial proportions and sizing. The sizing was so important. So I needed to make sure that the limbs could be physically placed close to each other without warping or without that annoying thing in Spore where you can't place limbs too close together. I felt like I got like a quite nice balance with this in the end, and the tail was really nice and simple, thankfully just a big blob that I just then stuck onto Dark Injection Textureless Ethereal Razors. The head, however, so while I thought the body was going to be the difficult part, it turns out it was the face. Now, I've made cartoonish faces before, and I've made my fair share of Pokemon before, and yet for this one, I've heard some people refer to Sprigatito as the weed cat, and I accidentally encapsulated that throughout my process. It just looked absolutely ridiculous, its face. The face is made out of just a ton of Pandora's Toolbox, various coloured spheres and donuts, as well as the recolouring ones based on the base, detail and coat of the creature. I just took full advantage of all the different options from Pandora's Toolbox, and eventually came to some cohesion of a face. A lot of the initial derp was very much in the eyes and the proportions of his nose and mouth, and it took a little bit of tweaking back and forth to try and nail it. I also really had to exaggerate the mane and fur all around the neck, because while in the original design it's very small, the neck on mine needed to be filled out. It just needed stuff. So I made the mane and neck fur just really poofy, and I think it ties together relatively well. I really liked how the body on this one came out, but the face is, I'll leave that for you to decide. Next up we have Fuecoco, another one I'm not sure how to pronounce, a little lizard one. And when I got started on this one, as I looked at the image thinking, how am I going to do the face, I immediately regretted my decision of making this video and I wanted to quit. But of course I did not. This again was made by just heavily butchering the parts from Pandora's Toolbox. The mouths were made out of rings, one of them very highly elevated, that way I can actually give it the appearance of its mouth being open. This does unfortunately mean it will not animate, just like Sprigatito, but I would rather try and capture the cartoonish look of this, rather than just, you know, force it to animate, because it's just going to animate really janky either way. It's Spore after all. Spore's not very good at Pokemon, even though I decided to keep on making them all the time. It's really not designed for it. In the end, I do quite like how the face came out. I think I gave a little bit too much neck, but given the proportions, it was really out of my comfort zone, and it was really quite tricky to make everything flow, but I think it came out decently. The feet were actually the part that I'm surprised at how well they came out, because I'm just so used to limbs in Spore being really stubborn where you can't place them too close to the body. So when I had to make the feet really large to accompany the big hooves that Fuecoco has, I did not think it was going to work, and yet it just simply did. Really anticlimactic. It just worked on the first try. I was not going to complain, so I just went with it. Thankfully the hands are really simple. Again, no animation. I just used Pandora's Toolbox and more ethereal razors from Dark Injection to make the little claws, and then I added on the little yellow post-it notes, which was just flattened rings, funnily enough, the flattened donuts from Pandora's Toolbox. You're going to be hearing Pandora's Toolbox a lot in this video. It really did carry me throughout all of this. And in the end, we have our funny little lizard boy. Quite pleased with this one, all things considered. It's one of the strangest shapes I've had to recreate in Spore. I suppose the mouth isn't perfect by any means, but again, given limitations, I am quite happy with it. And then next up is Quaxly, another one that kind of gave me a bit of a hard time. All three of these gave me a hard time, really. This new generation of Pokemon is so strange to recreate in Spore. For Quaxly, I immediately started with the body and the legs. Now, thankfully, thanks to Sai's Skincraft, I was able to get the blue texture on the legs and feet immediately, but the bigger hurdle was making the legs small enough, and In the past, I normally use Pandora's Toolbox, the cylinders, to recreate the legs. I just wanted to try and not do that this time. So after a bit of nitpicking and going back and forth, I originally tried the exoskeleton limbs from Replicant. Didn't really like it, they were a bit chunky and weird. So I tried one of the purple Dark Injection limbs and it came out better, although it's got that annoying issue where the minimum size is really large, so the ankles of this creature do pop out beneath the ground. A bit unfortunate, but all in all, with the smoother, I feel like I got the body shape done quite nicely. The wings, I know that Quaxly's got a bit of attitude in its pose, in its reveal image. I decided just to kind of make a bit of a relaxed pose for both the wings. I'm going to be entirely honest, all three of these creations were quite, definitely more than I expected, so I did get a little bit lazy with the wings. And same for the headpiece as well, that again, I just wasn't really sure how to shape out. To get the correct colour, I needed to use, you know, the big round pieces, and that meant that the little pointy bit at the back of the head slash hair looked a little bit curved, but hey, what can you do? The face, on the other hand, I'm quite happy with the face. I'm especially very happy with the eyes. I also had to imagine that Quaxly probably has a tail because it just having a bare butt just seems wrong to me, so I gave it like a little tiny duck tail, something I felt that would fit the rest of the creature. And in the end, I'd say another decent success, though the animation is by far the worst of all of these, but that's what happens when these creatures have really, really tiny legs. They just cave into the ground and become one with the earth. So there we have our 3 Generation 9 Pokemon starters. Like I mentioned earlier throughout this video, definitely much harder than I anticipated, but I'm happy to have done them. I do miss making Pokemon, they are very much good fun. And my god, yeah, again, these were just really tricky to make actually, so if you guys want to fancy making your own ones, I would love to see your own interpretations. And otherwise, aside from that, I really look forward to seeing what these 3 evolve into. I really love just the whole evolution process or theme in Pokemon, and I love just how dramatic the changes can be sometimes, so I'm really excited to see what these evolve into and more from Generation 9. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you look forward to Pokemon as much as I do, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers!